Hi there. How's it going? Bonnie Violet here, a queer chaplain. And in case you don't know where you are, this is Dragon Spirituality, our Named and Known series. Our wanted to take a moment to acknowledge our partners who have made this possible, and that's Urban Village Church. Urban Village Church is located in Chicago, Illinois, and we are on episode 3 of this series, so we'll be interviewing Stargirl. All of our artists are Chicago-based, and we are just taking some time to interview them, to get to know them, to know more about their drag and their spirituality and how the two may exist together, maybe how they haven't in the past, that sort of thing. This is also a time for I guess, where church meets a drag show. So feel free to tip your queen as you feel it throughout the show. Stargirl's Venmo is at @StargirlDrag. You can see it there on the screen. Also, we are engaging with folks. So if you do have questions or comments, that sort of thing, go ahead and send them to us, and we'll do our best to respond to them as we move throughout this event. So without further ado, I think I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest. So our guest this evening is Stargirl. Hi, Stargirl.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Feeling all settled and ready to go?
Now, yeah. God, that was a little hectic.
Right.
I'm like...
That's the way... Yeah, take a deep breath. That's okay.
Yes.
That's the way it goes sometimes. So thanks again for joining us this evening. And I tend to like to just kind of dive right in. And I love to hear a lot about like people's growing up, kind of what it was like growing up. If you want to tell a little bit about your childhood, that'd be great.
Okay. I'm going to just apologize right away. I have a little cough that won't go away, so I'm be a little coffee right now.
No worries. Do you need water? Or...
No, I'm okay. It's just a really weird cough. I'm going to have to go get it checked out. It just won't go away. It might be bronchitis or something. I don't know. All right. So I was born and raised here in Chicago. So I'm a Chicagoan, and, you know, Chicagoans are like very proud, and, you know, I love my city. I love being in Chicago, you know. Mm-hmm. So I was born and raised on the southwest side, actually. And, I mean, my parents are both immigrants, actually. So, you know, we've been through a struggle, you know, well, at least my parents, at least when it comes to like trying to come to the United States and live the American dream, pretty much, you know. Mm-hmm. And well, like growing up was a little rough at times because, you know, with that being a struggle and like being a little kid, you don't understand like why your parents are being treated differently, why they don't have more opportunities than most people, you know. Mm-hmm. And that was something that I really struggled with when I was little, like understanding. I get it now, you know, obviously, but I mean, other than that, like I said, there was some hard times because of that, you know, and there was pretty good times too, you know. Well, obviously, everybody has good childhood memories.
Right. Yeah, and did your family do any sort of did they go to church, or did you go to church growing up, or have any sort of like spiritual experience with your family?
To be honest, no.
Okay.
Which is why I was a little skeptical when I was reached out about this, because I was just like, mm-hmm. Well, I don't know what I could contribute to it, you know. And I'm pretty sure there's like so many more queens that are like, you know, way more into spirituality. Like Mick Douche last week, I saw his podcast, and like it was very like, wow, you know, he was very informative, and I learned a lot from his side. And I was just like, well, what can I say, you know? But at the same time, I do have my opinions. Right. I personally wasn't like raised super religious. We are considered Catholic. I'm gonna say that like that because, you know, we do believe in Jesus and God. We believe in 𝒬ᴬᴷᴜ de Guadalupe, and, you know, we do believe in the Catholic like spirituality. That being said, we don't go to church or anything. We have religious figures around the house, but, you know, it's just very, you know, weird. Well, like I would say, you know, for me. But like I said, that being said, I do believe in God, and I do believe in faith and love and hope. You know, I do believe in all that.
Right. Well, and that's a big part of like this. You know, there are a lot of ways people experience, I think, spirituality. Sometimes it's something that people are super connected to. Other times, I feel like a lot of times there are cultural like connections to spirituality that we might not. I don't know. That's it's just what you're grown up with. So your relationship with it varies, you know. And so that's really a lot of why we're interviewing a few different folks, is just to kind of get a sense of what your experience is like, you know, and maybe even help, you know, see things that we hadn't, you know, maybe you hadn't seen there before. Um, so, so it sounds like you grew up around that sort of thing, around like Catholicism, if you will.
Yes.
Not really going to church or anything like that, which is you know, a lot of our experiences. And when did drag come into play for you?
Sorry. Well, I've been doing drag now for 3 years, so it was something that I was always interested in. You know, since I came out, I loved going to the, like, you know, well, being underage, I loved going to like the Pride Festival and seeing the drag shows, especially, you know, not being 21, you couldn't go into the bars and see them. So the only places you could see them was like market days, you know, Pride Fest. And so I always loved going to see that. And then it was something that was that really interested me, and I just lived for it. And I don't know, like it was something that I like thought about doing before I even started doing it, but at the time I was in a relationship, and in a really like serious relationship, and it just wouldn't have worked out, like, because it was a very controlling, very toxic relationship. And like about mixing drag into that, like the nightlife and all that, it wasn't gonna work out. So I kept my mouth shut about it. And that after that breakup, I was like very, very sad. Obviously, you know, it was a really long relationship, and I was like a little like depressed, and I needed something to pull me out of that. And so I literally just picked up drag. Like I started experimenting with makeup and just going out to like actual drag shows now, because I was able to go out now. And I would go out with my girlfriend to see drag shows. Like I didn't know anybody at the time. I didn't know Boy Sound like that. Well, like, you know, that's it. Not Boy Sound. Nah. You know what I mean? I'm so used to saying that, but no, you know, the gay scene in Chicago, I wasn't used to that, but I was interested, you know, to get to know it.
And
So
was it something you had wanted to do prior to this? So like during your relationship, you just had chosen not to bring it up?
Exactly, yes. So after the breakup, I picked it up, you know, and I started going out, and like, I don't know how, like I look back at it now, and I was just like, well, you know, that was pretty ballsy of me, because like I didn't know anybody in the scene. You know, most days people now get into drag because they have friends that are doing it.
Yeah.
And it's easier for them to like get in the scene, but at the time I didn't know anybody personally. So I just walked into the bar to do an amateur drag show and started from there. You know, that same night I met a lot of amazing queens that I still like know till this day. 𝒬𝓊𝑒𝓃, actually.
Oh yeah, I love
Which,
her.
you know, I met her on the first night of me doing drag, and like at Charlie Chicago, I was competing against her actually, and it was so fun. And I got to meet her that night. She was amazing. You know, I just fell in love with it.
Yeah, yeah. And had you been artistic before you did drag? Like, had you done any other kind of art before drag?
Oh yeah, I'm a self-taught artist. I've always drawn. I've drawn since I was a little kid. You know, obviously I sucked when I was little, but you know, as I got older, my technique just got better and better. But like middle school, I got better. After high school, like I wanted to pursue a career in illustration in particular. I did some painting, but my thing was illustration, and like I really liked portrait drawing of like realistic illustrations, pretty much. And after high school, I tried to make a career out of that or go to college for that, but unfortunately, that didn't work out. art school is very expensive in Chicago, so I had to stop that dream and started working this like retail job, you know, that 9 to 5 thing. And after that, like I pretty much stopped drawing and I stopped exploring my artistic side, you know, because I just
Hmm.
didn't have time. I was always working. And when I
Right.
wasn't working, I was too lazy to draw because drawing, you know, takes a little bit of work and, you know, effort. And so I was just
Hmm.
like, oh, like I'm tired. I don't want to draw anymore, you know. But like I missed that artistic ability, you know,
Right.
desire. And until I picked up makeup, I was just like, oh my God, this is like what I needed, you know, because
Hmm.
it's honestly just, it's like drawing, but on your face, you know. So
Yeah.
I was like so happy when I found makeup, you know, because it was a whole new different experience, but still artistic, you know, and it was thing that I was just interested in.
Right. It really seems to suit you. I love, like, as soon as I saw I came across one of your looks on Instagram and I was like, oh my God, who is this girl? And I just kept looking at your stuff and I was just like really blown away by your aesthetic and kind of your full, from head to toe kind of looks that you pull together. It's really, really impressive.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. How would you identify your style of drag?
um, well, you know what? When I first started, my drag has changed a lot. Like from the time when I first started,
Hmm.
I am a Mexican, so when I first started drag, I was like trying to just be like this really pretty Mexican girl, you know, really fishy, and you know, at that time I knew drag, but I wasn't too familiar with like the more out of the box side of drag.
Hmm.
So when I first started, I tried to be very traditional and very pretty, you know, just woman illusion, I guess. And so when I first started, I just wanted to focus on like being Latina and pretty, and it changed a lot over the years. I started getting
Hmm.
bored of that, and I started getting more inspired by, you know, especially more like of our Chicago queens. They're like so diverse, and like there's
Yeah.
some really good look queens out there in Chicago. Just to shout some out, like Abaji, 𝒬𝓊𝑒𝓃, and like
Mhm.
they really like a lot of them, but like they really inspire like that artistic side, you know, which I didn't know like I could like mix into drag, or
Mhm.
I just maybe I was too scared to try it out at first.
Yeah.
So I ended up just dropping my original drag name, and then I just picked up this new drag persona because it's way more animated and like fantasy. I like to say it's club fantasy.
Mhm.
I like to mix that like element of like out of the box fantasy. It's kind of weird, kind of cool, you know.
Right. And how'd you come up with Stargirl?
Um, well, I was trying to like look into um like new drag names at the time. My original drag name was 𝒬𝓷,
Mm.
which is 𝒬ᴗᴗ. It's a Spanish name, and
Uh-huh.
my boy name is Yair. It starts with a Y. So I
Mhm.
was just like, at the time when I first started, I was like, I need to pick a girl name that starts with a Y, like my boy name. So there's not a lot of pretty girl names that start with a Y, unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
So 𝒬𝓗 was like one of the only ones I found, which I was like, that'll do, you know. So
Right.
I was going by that for like the first 2 years doing drag, honestly.
Mhm.
And then when I like wanted to change my character, pretty much, I started looking into other names. And at the time, I was wearing these like animated stars like in my
Mhm.
hair. I have like a picture like on my Instagram. I have like these animated stars in my hair, and I don't
Uh-huh.
know why it just like clicked into me. Like, oh, star, like star girl. I don't know. So I was
Mhm.
like Star Girl, and then I started looking into the name Star Girl, and like through Urban Dictionary and all that. Like, what does it mean? Because I guess it has like a meaning, and
Mm.
like the definition, I guess, is like a girl who's weird but in a good way, that
Mm.
you know she's very bright and colorful, and she, you know, timid but outgoing when you get to know her, and she lights up a room or something like that. And I was just like, I kind of feel like I do that, you know?
Yeah, it feels like a really good fit.
Yeah, it did. Like it just like snapped, and like I can't snap because I have gloves, but you know, it really snapped. And I like put it on my Instagram at the time. I was just like, I'm debating on changing my name to Stargirl. I was like, what do you guys think? And a lot of people actually were like, yes, do it. Like I like that, you know. And like I like immediately got a positive response. So I was just like, okay, you know.
Yeah, no, it's right. It's a great name. There have been a couple of questions that have come up that I wanted to just try to go to, just since they come so early. They're big questions. So do you want to bring up one of those questions for me, Juan Pablo? So Taylor Wise says, hello, what are some examples of discrimination that you've faced in your community? So
honestly, just be honest, I personally haven't faced any discrimination. I don't know if that's meant towards being gay or Latinx, but I mean, either or vice versa. I haven't faced discrimination in my community. I mean, I faced discrimination outside of the LGBTQ plus Latinx community. Like I have, but not inside my community. I would say, thank God, you know, for that.
So you feel like you're welcome in kind of the drag scene and the LGBTQ Latinx kind of scene, but outside of that community is where you maybe have a little bit different of an experience.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I bet a lot of us, you know, as queer people could have faced at least discrimination, at least once, you know, or twice. Even if that's being said, even the minor way, you know, I have at workplaces, unfortunately, I've been called out for being gay at work. It's about it, honestly. You know, obviously, about being Mexican, you do get, you know, those. Obviously, you get those racial, like, you know, insults about immigrants and illegals, and you know, go home, you know, kind of shit. Sorry for my language.
No, you're fine. Yeah. How's your family with everything?
According to,
like, how's your family with like drag and everything? Do they love it?
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like, I mean, they were never opposed to it. My parents are, thank God, they're very like accepting towards everything. And you know, when I started doing it, they thought it was kind of random. My parents are, like I said, they're like old school Mexican parents, and I guess it was a little hard for them to understand what I was doing. You know, for them, like they kind of almost thought I wanted to transition. That, you know, that I was coming out as trans or something. Like I let them know, like, no, that's not it. You know, I told them, like, I just want to go out and perform and be like this. You know, but I mean, my dad, it's a whole different story about my dad, but my mom, who I'm closer to, like, she was definitely interested in it, you know. She was just coming into my room right now, like, trying to see what I was doing, you know, like, she was interested. She's like, oh, she saw this wig that I did, and she was like, oh, that looks nice, you know, like, she likes it, you know, she's interested in it, which for a Mexican, like, old school parent, I'm, like, happy she's that way, because a lot of some Mexican parents tend to be very close-minded and, you know, rough when it comes to things like that.
And so and they're like, with your sexuality, they kind of rolled with that as well too. Yeah,
pretty much. Maybe my mom questioned it, like, you know, when I first was like showing signs, you know, she did question it, a little hesitant, I would say, a little, but, you know, I can't blame her. You know, you can't really blame your parents when they're like that. But that being said, I never felt scared to actually say it, you know. It was more of a situation where she like, she didn't have to, like, ask, because she already knew, you know.
Right.
And we didn't have to discuss it, because it was up in the air already, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, one of the things like that, I think a lot of folks who aren't drag queens, I think, or drag kings or other kind of, drag artists, I don't think that they realize, I mean, I think sometimes people think like, oh, you're gay, you're queer, you're whatever. So doing drag isn't really a stretch. And that's kind of like what it means to be gay. But I know that I've had different experiences where friendships change, romantic life or sex life changes too. Cause some people aren't as like hip on that too. What has your experience has been around that? Around like dating or
with dating,
Mhm.
oh god, it's really dry. Like really, really dry. I'm just not
focused on that.
and focused on that, honestly. I mean, at this point in my life, I'm the last thing in my mind, honestly. Like honestly, like the last thing in my mind, But I mean, when it comes to drag in relationships in general, I've met one of the biggest one of the biggest reasons I wanted to get into drag was because I had no relationships with any people from our community, and I had all these girlfriends, from back home, and it was just like I got to that point where it was just like I want to know more gay people. I want to know lesbian people, transgender, queer people. I want to meet them. I want to have relationships and get to know people. Because like I just felt like that's what I was missing. And being a queer person, I feel like you need to have that those kind of relationships in your life. To inspire you to just I feel like it's a necessity almost. And like I was craving that necessity. And like one of the main reasons I wanted to get into drag was to have those relationships. And luckily, like, oh my god, I've met some of the most amazing people, like people that I call family now. Like I met those people, and this is what I needed, and like I'm so happy for that, honestly.
Yeah. It's great to have a family. I think like you said, as queer folks, we get to kind of create our own groups, and I don't know, it's just real. I love being queer. I love being a drag artist. I love the community, the people we get to meet.
We're very lucky.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, life would be boring without it.
Oh my God. Honestly, I go some days where like I'm away from like, work, especially during COVID. Like I started feeling like I guess normal person, because we were away from what we were used to, we were away from being around our community 24 so many days out of the week. I was so used to the nightlife and being around our community and so much love all the time. And like when quarantine started, like we got separated from that. Like it was like a breakup, and you just spend days at home not doing anything sometimes, feeling I guess like a normal person,
Right.
And it was just like a big slap in the face, like really made you realize like it, like what you had, you like don't take it for granted, especially,
Yeah. COVID's definitely created some separation. Has it impacted your art in a positive way at all?
COVID?
Yeah, like this time being in.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I'm I feel like I can't take for granted, like what we had before COVID, for sure. Now it was a big slap in the face, to realize like how things could change, like in a heartbeat. And it really was, it really gave you like I said, a slap in the face, like, wow, like I could have lost everything, that we worked for,
Right.
So I just don't want to take things for granted from now on,
And you mentioned a little bit about kind of around gender, and there's a question from Madison. She was asking about gender pronouns. So she was curious as to what your pronouns are out of drag and what they are in drag. Would you like to speak about that?
Yeah. Do you mind if I get some water real quick?
Yeah, no, go for it real quick. You know what we'll do? We'll just take a little break. We have a little video clip we can play. We'll play that real quick and then we'll come right back, okay?
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. And we're back. Were you able to get some water?
Yes. Thank
Awesome.
you so much.
No
I'm
problem.
Like choking over here. My throat is just like, I don't know what's happening to me, but I have to go get that checked out. Like
Yeah.
It's
So
not
we were
COVID.
Right. That's good. Glad to hear that. And you were about to talk about pronouns, just as a reminder.
Oh yes. Well, I go by he, him as a boy. You know, when I'm out of drag, I identify as a man. You know, man.
Right.
But in drag, I do go by she, her. But even then, you know, if you call me he in drag, I don't really mind. You know, I'm open towards everything, I guess, when it comes to that. You know, that being said, we gotta respect people. You know, when they put a stamp on their pronouns, we gotta, you know, respect that for sure. You know, it was something that I learned. You know, obviously before drag, I didn't even know about any of that. You know, about all the type, you know, of people, their pronouns. You know, I didn't know that. So going to the community, it was just one of those things. You know, that very grateful that I was taught about. You know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think, you know, it's newer language for a lot of us, and it's very different culturally. So the big thing is you know, to be asking questions and then just being respectful about it is really important. And everyone has a different relationship with it. Here's a question from Reese. Reese says, your beehive makeup is fantastic. You're very talented. Do you feel a spiritual connection to your artistic expression? Do you feel connected?
I wouldn't say it's like a strong spiritual connection, but I mean, I'm very, like I said, I'm not like the most religious person ever, but I do believe in like the love of God, and I do believe in, you know, the gifts that he gives people, you know. So I do feel like being able to be artistic, I feel like it's a gift from God, and you know, like he wanted this, you know, like he made us, you know, and he made me like this for some reason, you know. So that's why, you know, I like just thank him, you know, and like for allowing me to, you know, be this person and have the gifts, you know, I guess, of like being artistic, you know, which everybody could be artistic, but you know, like I just have it like in my own way, I guess.
Yeah, I know that makes sense. I think, you know, a lot of people experience spirituality. I think sometimes religion is kind of like, and religion and spirituality, you know, I think religion has a bad name a lot of the times, but I think like spirituality sometimes, I think just creation and creativity is like a big part of, I think, moments where people can, you know, experience, I don't know, the divine or you know, creating something.
Yeah, you know what? How like you said, like religion, maybe it's like a little intimidating. Like speaking on that, like I said, it didn't grow up very religious, but when I grew up, I did have at the time that I had some uncles that lived with us at the home, and they were very religious. Like my one specific uncle was very religious, and like I'm not gonna lie, you know, being little, I thought it was intimidating, you know, because I was just like, my uncle was very aggressive, maybe, like towards it, and he really like pushed it. He would want us to go to church and like all that, you know, and like being a little kid, I would hear everything he would tell me, and you know, he would be the one and like that would say, you know, the ridiculous things like, oh, you know, God doesn't love gays, you know. He would say stuff like that. So obviously, you know, being a little kid, you don't even know what your orientation is. Yeah, you don't know it, but you do take in consideration the things you hear when you're little, you know. And when you hear that, obviously, when you start getting the feelings, you know, the gay feelings, you know, when you start, you know, when you start realizing who you are, you know, you take in consideration the things you heard when you were little, you know. And like even that, like even like my uncle would say that, but also like I said, my mom is very accepting and all that. But I'm not gonna lie, you know, when I was little, I would hear my mom say things like, you know, about the gays, you know,
Mm-hmm.
almost like talking down on it. Like when
Yeah.
when we would be watching TV and like there would be like gay people kissing, my mom would be like, "Turn that off," it's gonna influence you. Or she would say
Right.
things like that, very what is it called when they say things that are like
Like influential? Or-
yeah, she would say like very passive aggressive, I guess.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
You know, like not wanting to say like what she actually meant, but you got that vibe
Mm-hmm.
off it.
Yeah.
And like
Did you feel it was because of her religion or God, or more of like a cultural thing? Because like in my family, they weren't church going people, but they definitely had opinions about gay people, that weren't so great.
yeah, I think that's what it was with my mom. Especially like I said, I had that uncle, and I think he would like put the bug in her ear a lot about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know if they could tell since I was little, but I mean, I think I was obviously gay, like since I was little. And like I don't know if maybe like he would put that bug into her ear and tell her, like, oh, he might be gay, even though he's little, But like
Mm-hmm.
maybe that scared her or something. But I just remember him being very aggressive about the religious, like, we need to be religious, and like he would tell me everything was like worshiping the devil. Like, I would be playing like
Mm-hmm.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and he wouldn't want me to play with Yu-Gi-Oh cards because he said it was like something about the devil, like the imagery. So he would make me like burn like the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like honestly, he would like do that, and like for a little kid, I think it's kind of scary. Like I was kind of like intimidated by religion and scared
Mm-hmm.
based off what I saw and what I was hearing. So honestly, it took me like a lot of years to get over that intimidation.
Yeah.
About because like religion doesn't have to be that way. It's honestly like I wish I was more religious because I do think it's I think it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives people hope and it gives people that peace that they need sometimes, and I think it's a
Right.
very positive thing. I think it's very positive now, but like I said, growing up, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have had those experiences, especially with religion. And I think that's one of the things that's so magical about this event is, like this is put on by a church who loves queer people and drag queens and all that. Like we are part of that community if we choose to be, not that we're like some community that they have charity for, or they, I don't know, they're trying to save us, so to speak. Like they really know that we're just, we're beautiful, God created like beings, worthy of love and grace and all that stuff. But there's a lot of places that, you don't get that experience. So I think that's what makes it so important, is to have these spaces that can hold all of us, huh?
Yes, for sure. Like when you reached out to me about this, my immediate thought was, wow, we're mixing religion with this. Like my immediate reaction was like, wow, obviously, because it's just something you don't hear about and see very often.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of folks, is I identify spirituality as anything that lifts you. So anything that kind of elevates your body and puts you in kind of a space of joy and happiness, like that pulls you out of the darkness, that pulls you out of the sadness, the depression. And that doesn't always have to be like God directly or prayer or that sort of thing, but it can be music. It can be creating something. It can be, for me, I think there's a lot of things that can lift my spirit. And I think drag queens and drag artists have done that for the LGBTQ community forever. I think to some degree they are our spiritual leaders, because they have, they've been in the forefront of a lot of activism. They're always on the ones who they're visibly seen, and I don't know. I think we're powerful creatures.
Yes, definitely. I 1,000% agree.
Yeah. Let's go to another question. I think maybe Satali's question. What would y'all say is one of the biggest misconceptions that y'all have heard others say about drag or the LGBTQ community?
Misconceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm kind of slow. I'm not gonna lie.
No, that's okay.
That means misconceptions means the biggest things that are not true, right?
Yeah, things that they think about us that aren't True. Yeah.
Oh, oh my god, I sound so stupid.
No, you don't. Not at all. Not at all.
Okay. I would say, man, I don't know. There's so many, honestly. If you really think about it, so much like confusion and so many stereotypes and like so many false allegations about like first of all our community, and second of all like being a drag queen. Like I guess like I don't know. It was so taboo for so long to be a drag queen, you know, and like now it's just starting to normalize. But even then, like, you know, it's still, I wouldn't say like super normal. It's more better than it was before. Like thank God for that. But like it's just there's so many like false things you hear all the time, and you know, people think that drag queens are like sick people sometimes or something. There's cross dressers that, you know, that you just hear so much negative like shit about it, you know. Excuse my language, but you know, you really hear like even before like I wanted to do drag, I took in considerations all the things I knew about, you know, all the things I heard about like drag queens, about people, about men that dress up as women, you know. It has such a bad look on it. You know, and like I was honestly intimidated. I think anybody would be intimidated to, you know, walk out of their house dressed the way, you know, that you was not normal, considered normal, you know.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the power in it. But yeah, there's so many like stigmatized things about like what people think about us too, you know, because I think there was like, you know, that we have to be underground, that I don't know, that we have to hide and be in the shadows in the dark, and you know, like there might be drug use or party and sex and like so like those things happen, you know, like just those things in and of itself aren't bad, but I think people like to, you know, label like things in the extreme when there's really a lot of nuance and a lot of different experience that people have. Again, which is why I think this is really important, just to give people an opportunity to see that we're more than just like freaks, you know, freaks on the stage, that there's more to us, that we have thoughts, we have ideas, we have spirituality, we have goals, we have, you know, joys and challenges, you know, all that sort of stuff. We're human.
Yes, exactly. And like, well, at least for me, this is a way for me to express myself and my art. It's not because, you know, I like dressing up like this. Honestly, like, you know, I do like dressing up, and I do like like I like art, but like it's a way for me to express my art, you know. At least for me. You know, other people do drag for different reasons. Everybody's different, honestly, but like I just hope that, you know, we keep making that step towards, you know, making this more, you know, I guess considered normal, and that people won't be afraid of this, you know.
Right. We have a question from Angel, who also is Linda Summers. She's a drag queen, and she says, how do we invite our families to support our passion for drag and creativity?
I think it's important to, well, if you have that relationship with your family, you know, honestly, like I wouldn't say like I am close to my family, but I wouldn't say we're super close. Like, I don't know, it's weird sometimes, you know, like I just don't like, I don't know why, like I felt like I shut down like sometimes like around my family, and like I kind of want to keep to myself what I'm doing, you know. And that's just me personally. I wish I wasn't like that, but it's this thing I'm working on, you know, as of now. But like, as far from what I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's part of the process for some of us, you know. Sometimes we need to keep some things to ourselves for a while.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I feel like if you have a really close relationship to your family, whether they accept you or not, I feel like it's important to like talk to them about what you're doing, you know. And if you're passionate about drag, like, you know, let them in to that part of your life, you know, because like you might regret not doing that later on, which is what I'm battling through right now, you know, as of now. But like, I guess I should listen to my own advice.
And Angel just had a little bit of follow up to that. She says, I asked because I've met a few people who keep the fact that they do drag private in fear that their families won't accept them. It's already enough that they're gay, but to be a cross-dresser, in quotes, is another thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I know a lot of people are like that in that situation, you know. It's kind of like telling your parents that you're a drag queen, or, you know, it's like another coming out process.
Yeah.
Because
no, my parents. Go ahead.
Sorry?
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying because it is kind of, you know, like I said, it's very not traditional. It's something out of the box, and most people are afraid of change, and people are afraid of like what's not considered normal. And so obviously, like, it's very intimidating to come out to your parents. I mean, pretty much again, you know, and tell them, oh, and I do this now, you know. And for a lot of people, it's hard enough for the parents to accept them that they're like that they're gay, you know. And like telling them now is just like, oh, and not only am I gay, you know, I also like to be a drag queen. It's just so much more intimidating, you know. A lot of people can't handle that that much pressure on them, and you know, I don't I can't blame them. I don't know what I would do if I was in the situation, honestly. But I mean, all I can say is like try to keep positive, and you know, don't be afraid to like trust your gut, you know, and tell your parents, you know, don't be afraid of them, and you know, they're at the end of the day, if your parents really love you, they will love you no matter what you do, honestly. So I would say just try to be positive, and don't give up on the idea that, you know, that don't give up on the idea that you can invite them into this part of your life, because you know, if you're that passionate about drag, like, this will be very important for you, and if it's that important, you need to like the people that you love and on it, you know.
Right. Yeah, and I think most of our parents, they do just want us to be okay, and they want us to be happy and have joy-filled lives and experience love and that sort of stuff. And I think they just think that, you know, we can't have that because of who we are. They haven't seen that exist in people before. And once they get to see that in us, I think, you know, that's when they start to change.
Yes, for sure. Like I said, my parents are very traditional Mexican. Like, I don't know if you know what that means, but it's very like they grew up in like a village in Mexico. You know, they like this to them. Like, if they were to see this in Mexico, they would think it's crazy, honestly. You know, and my parents coming from that state of mind to where they're now, you know, I just think that's amazing to begin with. You know.
Yeah. I think sometimes I forget that as well too. I grew up in a small town in Idaho, and there's just very much, you just didn't see people like us walking around, and we were maybe the crazy people they saw on television, but
yeah,
that was about it. Like on 𝒬ᴬᴷᴜᴜ or something, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, Jerry Springer. Yes.
Right, at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning or something, right?
Exactly. And like, you know, they would think like, oh, this is like funny to them, you know, and like, well, obviously, you know, reality TV makes things so much more dramatic and crazy, but you know, it's not that, you know.
Right. Is there Jamie says, it looks like drag is more accepted. Do you think within LGBT community acceptance has improved, and drag queen MCs? Oh, and drag queen MCs are great. Do you think the LGBT community acceptance has improved of the drag community?
Oh God, yes. I mean, the only way we could move is forward, honestly, from where everything started, you know. And I think we do take a lot of step back sometimes, you know. Unfortunately, I would say this community, I love this community. It's very crazy sometimes, you know. It's very intense, and something that I didn't know, you know, coming into the community. I was very I would say naive and ignorant coming into the, you know, LGBT community, community. I just didn't know what I was expecting, you know.
Right.
All I knew from this community was reality TV and what I would see, you know, on TV, and what I would see in movies, and like, that's all I knew about the community. So like, I had no clue what to expect going in, you know, right away.
Right.
I mean, after the bat, the first thing I ever experienced was love and acceptance for the community, and that's all I wanted, honestly. And I
Right.
was just like, okay, this is right. This is what it's supposed to be like. That being said, the more you get to know about the community, you do see the downsides of it, the downfalls. There is
Right.
some things that aren't, maybe could use some work, but honestly, I think that we have way more positives for sure. The community is amazing, and where we're at now is amazing, and I think we can only move forward from that.
I agree. And Chicago has such a rich, diverse group of drag artists
Yes.
from across the board, from old school drag, trans, beautiful trans artists to
Yes.
More of the newer kind of I would feel like you're in the new wave of a new kind of drag, which I am really loving.
Oh, thank you. I love what you're doing. I'm living for this look, honestly. I've just been staring at it. It's just wow.
I totally just made it up today.
Shut up. Are you serious?
Yeah, they're just I made a little roses, add a rose. There's a bouquet of flowers that I had, and I just took them out of the thing and just started sticking them to me and stuff.
I love it. You sculpted it really nicely. I'm very towards making your own stuff. So I love it. I was just like, wow, you look great.
Well, thanks so much. Yeah, I like being more creative too. But a lot of the times I end up just putting on whatever I have on anymore. And so it's nice to have an opportunity. I felt like if I was going to be next to you, I had to try to at least do something.
Oh my God.
So
you showed up.
Yeah, so thanks for that inspiration.
Yeah, you look great.
So we are at the tail end of the interview. I'd love to hear you share with the audience how folks can find you, maybe share any projects or things that you're working on.
Well,
Oops. Seems like we might have got disconnected for a second. We'll see if she'll come back. Looks like she might be coming back here in a second. But you can find her on Instagram at Stargirl Drag. And she's some really great visual art stuff. She does, it's just, I've never seen anything like it. So do yourself a favor, check it out. I'm hoping we're gonna get her to, oh, there she is. I saw her eyes blinking. Yes.
Hello?
Hello, are you there?
Hi. Oh my God, I had a phone call come in and it just shut down. Was I off?
Yeah, you were off for a second, and I just told folks about your Instagram. Do you want to share any events or anything that's going on?
Yeah, I'm sorry again.
That's okay.
You just find me on Instagram. Honestly, it's pretty much the only thing I use to promote my drag as Stargirl Drag. I don't use Twitter or nothing like that, honestly. I don't really use social media like that, honestly.
Gotcha. So what is the future?
I'm posting my things on Instagram. But
what does the future of Stargirl look to you? What do you hope? What do you want to do next as far as your vision goes? Where would you like to see yourself?
I just really want to elevate my drag. I think that's every drag queen's goal, You
Right.
think about being better than the year you were before. That's the goal for every new year. And walking into 2021, right away, I was just I was already kind of stressed out, and that's why I kind of took this whole month off. I haven't done drag in a little over a month, which is a long time for me. And I had to remember how to do my makeup again, because I kind of took a little time off to focus on what I really want to do, I feel I need to. Well, I don't know how, but most drag queens, I feel I need to I feel a lot of pressure to be better than I was last year. And I need to turn out the looks. I need to, turn out the makeup and do something very different, raise my, I guess it's a personal goal for me.
Right. Yeah. Do you feel more of that pressure for yourself rather than like it's not necessarily about competing with the other artists. It's more about like your growth. Or
honestly, yeah. At the end of the day, I'm be lying if I said it wasn't the other way. It kind of is,
right.
you know. Like I feel like being in Chicago drag is so competitive, and I feel like a lot of people, they're forgotten so easily. You know, it's like very easy for you to get lost in the crowd. So
Yeah.
like I was just like, I worked so hard, you know, for like what I have now, and like even then, you know, I'm not shit. Like I'm not, you know. Excuse my language. I'm sorry.
You're okay.
Like I'm I'm really not, you know. There's so many legends and so much excellence in Chicago, and you know, you just want to be like, if you could like be a little part of that, you know, it's such a big accomplishment, which it was for me, you know. Like I said, when I came into the scene, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know what I would be expecting, and then like I started getting attention, like little by little. I started getting bookings, you know, and luckily I was getting booked like at least once a week, which like for me that was just like wow, you know, amazing.
That's great. Yeah.
So humbled and like so amazing, and I was just like wow, you know, I feel like I need to, you know, work up to like what that little bit of, you know, success that I built, you know, on my own, because I did it on my own, you know. So
right.
I think the goal is always just to elevate yourself, you know, for yourself, but also, you know, for like I guess the, you know, at the end of the day, some drag queens have fans, which is crazy, you know.
Yeah.
I've had people, yeah, because like I've had people like draw me fan arts, you know, and they'll be like, "Oh, I drew this for you," you know. They reach out to me personally, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, I love what you do." Like I guess they consider they're like fans or something, and they're like, "Oh, I love you, and I drew this for you," and it's just like, wow, you took time out of
Yeah.
your busy schedule to draw this for me. It's just like, wow, you know, thank you. It means a lot, you know, that what I'm doing, like that you like what I'm doing, and that you take time out of your schedule to share that love for me. You know, it's just like, wow, thank you so much, you know, and I need to do this for you too, you know. I need to elevate my drag, and you know, you're supporting me. I need to like repay that somehow, you know.
To continue it and to continue to inspire them.
Yes, exactly.
It's great. Well, you are crazy, crazy talented, and I cannot wait to see what comes, like what more you create in the future. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today. I hope that you're able to get your throat, some comfort in your throat soon.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah. And so I'm just gonna say a few words and then say goodbye to the thank you audience for joining us today. I really appreciated all the comments and conversations that we had back and forth. Next week, same time, same place, we'll be interviewing Fonda Cox. So I'm really excited to be interviewing her. She does some really great mental health work and all kinds of fun stuff. So I'm really excited for that. Also, just a side note, I also have a Splintered Grace podcast with my aunt. She's a conservative Christian and I'm a drag queen. And we have a podcast. It starts on Monday. And we'll be taking on current events in this season. So check out the links in the description if you want to get connected with Stargirl. And remember, that's her Venmo, so you can send the girl some coin if you love what you see. And you can also get connected with Urban Village Church and future events and things that are to come. So thanks again, Stargirl, and thanks everyone for joining us, and have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.